Cape Town has again come under fire for its alleged ill treatment of pro-Palestinian groups. The Good Party is accusing the city of what it says is a new outdoor advertising bylaw that bars the public display of Palestinian flags and signs. Early last month, a pro-Palestinian march at Sea Point descended into chaos after protesters clashed with police, leading to the arrest of 7 people. For more on this, we're joined by the Good Party chairperson, Suzette Little, who joins us now via Zoom. Suzette, thank you for making time for us this afternoon. What is this outdoor advertising bylaw all about? How does it intend controlling the display of signage?
The outdoor advertising bylaw is a normal bylaw that controls exactly that, the signage and how it is implemented and how it affects roadways and scenic routes and things such as that. Now, there's no problem in implementing of a bylaw to make sure that there is order in the city. We don't have a problem with that. What, however, is of concern is how bylaws have been implemented in the city over a period of time, and this is what has raised our concern. And this bylaw is very specific when it comes to putting specific things on your private property, on your boundary wall, where it has it's visible to other people. And that is what has caught our attention. On the 25th, 26th of November, there was a specific incident within the city where people in a heritage zone was approached about the signage on the wall. Now, they were approached and the people were complaining that they were threatening to fine them because of what was written on the wall. And what was written on the wall was in solidarity with Palestine.
Oh, so these were not necessarily like placards or banners. It was just stuff that was written on the walls that the city took issue with.
It was a mural. Yes, it was a mural painted on the wall. And that in itself raised concern because Monday morning, suddenly this outdoor bylaw appeared, and there's certain things that allows you it's exempted, and there are certain things that are prohibited. And one of the things that is prohibited is this artwork. You've got to get permission to draw certain things on your walls. And it's got to be, and let me read what they say, that you've got to have permission to have certain artwork placed on your wall. You've got to go through a certain application process. Now, clearly this family didn't go through an application process. And what we saw was law enforcement going there to find them. But because this law did not go through council, they were, of course, put on hold. And we saw that the city then responded by saying, yes, but nobody was fined. Correct, nobody was fined, because this bylaw had not gone through its books. Now, it is a violation of one's freedom of speech, freedom of expression. When you have these laws being it is a very subtle law. If it had not been for the fact that they had acted out prematurely on the Sunday and the Saturday, we would not have been aware of these things. Now, this bylaw has gone out for public participation in 2021, prior to the election, prior to new councillors being admitted or sworn in at the council. This bylaw was also not discussed, and we never had an opportunity to discuss it. And when speaking to the public's not aware of this bylaw. Now, there is 800 pages of comments from companies, commercial companies, advertising companies, all of these. But there are no comments from our communities that actually do paint murals and things on their walls. They express themselves in our communities by protesting, by writing certain things on their walls. But now it is prohibited to do so. So
is that the fault of the processes, particularly during the public participation process, where perhaps the city didn't do enough to canvass the views of the communities, or is it a point of just communities who are not interested in participating in those consultations?
It's the manner in which public participation is done. Each ward has a ward councillor. Each councillor is supposedly representing their people. And therefore, when these bylaws are made, they must ensure that the public is aware of it. Now, we've been in the city previously, and the one thing that we've been asking is that these bylaws are advertised in newspapers that the public actually read. Many of these bylaws and notices are placed in newspapers that the public or the general public do not have access to or do not read. And so we must ensure that these things are going out in such a manner that people are made aware of these laws that are going to affect them so that they may comment.
My understanding is that this legislation would include walking sandwich boards, handheld signs. I imagine this in some way or another will impact on homeless people.
It will impact on everybody. But that is, again, it's the manner in which these bylaws are implemented. We've seen not too long ago a bylaw being implemented that outlaws church bells, call to prayers, and worship. So if somebody complains, they can shut you down. We've had that experience where churches are shut down because it's a noise. It is considered a noise. Now, we've submitted an amendment to the bylaw to ask that section on call to prayer and church bells be taken out. In Cape Town, you're not going to hear church bells. Now they're busy with the Muslim call to prayer called the Adhan. And we've seen how mosques have been fined. And when we ask that these things be removed, we saw the mayor standing up in council with a standard operating procedure. Now that is an insult to the people because you cannot amend a bylaw with a standard operating procedure. It has got to go through a process. And yet, a few weeks later, a mosque was fined again because of this bylaw. Not too long ago, we saw the implementation of the taxi bylaw and the irresponsible manner in which that bylaw was implemented, where we saw the loss of life. Now here we've got an outdoor bylaw, targeting people that has got specific artwork on their walls. If we say it is in terms of another bylaw, which is a graffiti bylaw, then why haven't they fined each and every person that has got some sort of mural on their wall? Because that is what it says in that bylaw. And so clearly this bylaw was sent to specifically target people. And that is what we're asking. Make the public aware of the laws that you are putting out there because you are being unfair.
So what's the next step then? How do you plan on challenging the city on this? Because you've already proposed some amendments, but clearly those haven't been considered.
We have asked that the public relook and look at these things and send us their comments. We have sent it through to our legal team to have a look at so that we can challenge this in the proper manner, because I do believe it is unfair. Those living in heritage areas have not had the opportunity to comment. They've not, I don't even think they are aware that these things have been put out, and it is wrong. We cannot silence people because we don't like what they say. We live in a democracy and we cannot have that right removed because people feel offended, sir.
Well, Suzette Little, thank you so much for making time for us. She's with the Good Party.